What's my third option? This thing. Negative b over 2a, which gets me from here 9, because negative 9, negative 9, 9 over 2 times negative 1 is what? Negative 2. So my vertex x-axis is negative 9/2, which I knew it to be. Right? And then that would go back in here, and we'd work it all out. Our y would equal negative 9/2 squared minus 9 times negative 9/2 minus 18. And then I would work it all out. Is everybody good with one of the three methods? And then, if you had this available to you, do you not have a fourth method? You could enter this into your graphing calculator, your GDC, and then go back and find the vertex. Right? 4 methods available to you. Who chooses? You do. You have to be able to make one of them work. And I don't care which one. If I do care which one, how will you know which one I want? I'll tell you. Right? Okay. So this looks like a lot of work, but that's only because I did all 3 methods. Right? Each method, whatever method you choose, you can get 1 for it. Vertex, we know to be negative 9/2 and 9/4. Or, what's the other option? Negative 4.5 and 2.25, positive 2.25. Axis of symmetry we know is x equals negative 9/2, or x equals negative 4.5, right? Do we have, what's our range? What are our y values? Is it up or down? It's down, so y must be less than or equal to what? Less than or equal to my vertex, which is? Son of a... Or 2.25. Is it a max or a min? Max at 2.25 or 9/4. Graph the function. Now, this is something that you guys are a little dodgy at because of the fractions. If you're going to make every square worth 1, then you got to recognize that between the squares are the decimals, yes? So it makes it a little bit harder. How do you show me that you know what you're doing? If I was going to make each square worth 1, could I put my vertex up there? No, of course not. So my vertex I know to be negative 4.5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 0.5, and up 2.25, 1, 2. Now, if you've already answered the question correctly and you put the dot somewhere in the right area, am I giving you full marks? Of course I am. Was there a stretch? Was there? No. So I know that it's over 1, down 1. Over 2, which is almost all the way over there, and down 4. And I'd be perfectly happy with that. Everybody cool? Y-intercept? How do I get the y-intercept? Where does it live? Negative 18, because I get it right from the original equation. So all that down to there is worth 1. A, B, C, D, E, F, G is 7. And then the intercepts exactly. We already know it if we did the roots version at the beginning, right? But if you didn't, you got a factor. And you know that it is what? Negative 6 and negative 3. And your 3 ways of finding it: 1, factor. if you can. 2, quad formula. When will that work? When does the quad formula work, you wascally wabbits? Anyone? Wascally wabbits? Because I didn't, never mind. I said quad formula, like Elmer Fudd would have said it. Wascally wabbits, Elmer Fudd, no more Bowets, and then bang, and he blows his face off. Quad formula, when does quad formula work? Always. Is there another way you could have done it? Well, the calculator is always an option, but from graphing, could we not have counted from vertex? Yeah? Excellent. So that's out of 1 because, again, there's 3 options, but each one you do is only one thing you had to do, making that page out of 8, I believe. And that's it, isn't it? So that whole review's out of 18, 26, 36. When will you tell me what you got?
On the quiz, I think.
On tomorrow's assessment.
Okay.
What is special about tomorrow's assessment?
You can
Open book. Is it collaborative? No. All right. Is it graphing calculatorable? I actually don't remember. Hold up. Our test reminders page for studying purposes. Yes. I'm an oceanographer. What are some stuff that we can put on this page? I'm concerned. Anything. The quadratic formula. Do you have to memorize it? No. But the quad formula has been suggested. Negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac over 2a. What does that give us? That will give us the roots. Which are what? The roots have another name. What are they? They are zeros. They have a third name. What are they? X-intercepts. Oh, look at you guys. Nice.
Bless you.
Good gravy, Louie. When will the quadratic formula work? Always. Always works. Is there anything else about the quadratic formula that is helpful to us?
Y-intercept.
It gets us the y-intercept? How? Pardon me? It's the C, if I'm in standard form. Yeah, good call. I'll come back to that. Is there anything about that particular part of the quadratic formula that is helpful to us? Starts with a D. Discriminant. Don't forget the discriminant can show. Does it show the actual roots? No. What does it show me? The number. Nature is a better word. The number of roots. So if this is greater than 0, how many times does the graph cross the x-axis? Twice. 2 zeros. What if it equals 0? There's 1 root. What if it is less than 0? No roots, which means it must be either up there going up or down there going down. Yeah? Excellent. What is something else I can put on my review page? You could put vertex form. Y equals ax minus p squared plus q. What do I know about it? Vertex equals PQ, yes? What's the tricky part of P? It's the opposite. Because this says opposite P is the vertex. Nicely done. How can we get to there? We can get here in three ways. One, we can complete the square. What's the second way?
Find the roots.
We can find the roots. Find the zeros and count. Is there another way? Vertex x equals what? Negative b over 2a. Where on this page do you see that exact expression? Right there, yes? If this talks about the roots, this talks about the vertex. Right? Anything else I can put on this page? What is some other stuff I know? And remember, this is in no particular order. This is just brainstorming. What's some other stuff we know? What? We know standard form. When we have standard form, we've got some options. What could we do? We can quad form. We can complete square. We can factor. Quad form gets me what? Not if I do the quad formula. Quad formula gets me roots, and C is the y-intercept. Complete the square gets me what? Vertex form. Factoring gets me what? Roots. And this applies to that. Yeah? Excellent. What's the only letter we haven't talked about yet?
A.
What's A?
The
A is the stretch. If A is greater than 1, will my parabola go long and skinny or short and fat? Long and skinny. Because A is multiplying from our original quadratic with no adjustments, right? On the original quadratic, if I go that way 1, how far up? 1. If I go that way 2, how far up? 4. If I go that way 3, damn it, I should have changed colors. If I go that way 3, how far up? 9. If I go that way x, how far up? X squared. This multiplies this. Okay? My stretch factor multiplies this number. What if A is between 0 and 1. Then what do I get? It's the fat one, right? Because now I've got a fraction. Does that number still multiply here? Yeah. What if A is less than 0? It will turn over, and then the same rules will apply, correct? A is less than 0. Then, if it's this one, it's going to be long and skinny. If it's this one, negative 1 less than A less than 0, it'll be this. Is everybody good? Excellent. That will get you through this whole test. What do we know about our graphing calculator? How can I enter stuff into it?
Y.
I hit the Y equals button, right? At the Y equals button, I enter what? Whatever equation I have. Can I enter it in vertex form? Yeah. Can I enter it in standard form? Yeah. Can I enter it in root form? Yeah. Enter your equation. Doesn't matter what form it's in. Once you've entered it, you can graph it. How? We hit the graph button. What if nothing shows up on the screen? What are my troubleshooting?
The window.
No graph? Check window. What if I get a graph? How can I find all the stuff I would need from that graph? Second, calc. What will that find for me?
The vertex?
Will it?
Oh, no, the points, the 2 points back.
Will it? You're just asking me questions, Ayaka. What will it find for me? Will it find me the vertex? How? What does it call the vertex?
Bless you.
Some of you have graphing calculators in front of you right now. What happens when you push second calc? Bunch of options. Those options aren't the same words we use, though, are they? What are the words we use? We say roots. What does it say? Zeros. It will find the zeros, which are roots. What else will it find? The max or the min, which are what? In our words, vertex. Right? What's weird about the graphing calculator when we want to find the zeros or the vertex? Or an intersection? We might have to change the window, and we've got to do that left bound, right bound, guess. Right? How do we do them? Cursor keys. Is everybody cool? What do you feel right now, before I go on, that you feel you need most of? If I were to guess, I would say you're weakest with the graphing calculator. I would say that's where the practice needs to be. Problem with that is, as you go further in math, you're going to have less and less use in math class for a graphing calculator. You're not really going to even be allowed to use it, because you got to know everything above the graphing calculator. But if you're in real life or in physics, you're going to use your graphing calculator. So I don't mind showing you how to use it a little more.
Are we going to have a question like with mandatory using calculator or just optional?
You can always do it without a graphing calculator, but you're going to get weird decimals, Right? You can always do everything I give you without a graphing calculator. Everybody cool? Yeah? Okay, let's try a question. If you don't wish to practice with the graphing calculator, you want to do the question I'm about to show you without it, don't get one. If you do want to practice your graphing calculator, come up and grab one and leave me some collateral. While I find a good question for us. Because I hate making them up out of my head, because I always miss a negative sign or something, and then it doesn't work. Yep. Okay. All right, let's try a question. Again, yeah. You don't have to write this down, but you might want to have some scrap paper to work with. Everybody understand the equation? What must t be? Right. So if we were going to write this in math class, it would be y equals 0.3 x squared plus 0.1 x plus 4.2. A is the level of carbon. T equals time in years. So I'm going to ask you two questions about this. Today, right now, what would you say is our value for time? That's one thing you could say. That's a year. Okay, what else could you write there? I'm starting the study today. So how many years have passed? 0. So you could put either of them there. Everybody cool? So somebody tell me right now, the first question I want to know is the level of carbon in our air right now. I have one guess of 0.03. Do I have any other guesses? Shouldn't even need a calculator for this. 4.2. Why? Because time is 0. We're starting it right now. Two, I want to know when will the level be 8? How do I do that? A equals 8. So what does my equation look like? 8 equals 0.3 t squared plus 0.1 t plus 4.2. How can I solve that? If you're not going to use a graphing calculator, this has to be the quadratic formula, doesn't it? Is it in quadratic formula form?
Yeah,
Almost. What's got to move? The 8's got to come over here. And what will happen to it? What will it become, Burke? Negative 8. So it will be 0.3 t squared plus 0.1 t minus 3.8, right? Now I'd have to quadratic formula that. Do I have other options? I don't like this because of decimals, yeah? Could I multiply it by 10?
Yes.
And then I'd have 3t squared plus 1t minus 38. Could I do that?
Yeah.
That makes the quadratic form a little easier to deal with, right? Could I put this into my graphing calculator now? Could I put this into my graphing calculator? Wait. Could I put that into my graphing calculator? No, because the graphing calculator, to GDC that, I need y equals, don't I? So I'd have to move that 8, which is why the yellow one can go in. Is everybody cool? So, we all know how to quadratic formula it, right? We're just going to run it through the formula. Let's look at it on the graphing calculator. Here's my graphing calculator. Y equals, what am I entering? We all know it's this, right? Right? So I enter it just as I see it. 0.3. I don't see a T button. What button do I push? xt theta n. Square it. Plus 0.1 xt theta n minus 3.8. And then what do I do? What's the mistake that some of you are going to make right here, when you go to your graphing calculator? What's the possible error? I talked about it numerous times. Is this in the equation? That should be a T. Why isn't that showing up? T. Is that as C? That's negative 3.8, isn't it? What is it in the equation? Minus 3.8. Don't hit the wrong buttons. When I'm entering it into the equation, it's this button. But what if this was negative? What button would it be? This one. Everybody cool? So I've got it entered. I'm ready to go. What do I push now? Graph. What might happen? I might not see a thing, correct? Have I done it wrong? No. Do I panic? No, I just changed my window. Am I okay? Everyone agree? Now I want to know, when is A going to be 8? Right? How am I going to use my graphing calculator for that? A is what value on this graph? Is it an X value or a Y value? It's a Y value, correct? So, second calc. Will any of that help us? Is it a 0? No, because I need y to be 8, right? Is it a minimum? No, because it's not the vertex. Is it a maximum? No, it's not the vertex. It's an intersect. There's only one curve on there. There's no intersections. So could value help us? Maybe. What happens if I push value? It gives me an x. Am I looking for an x? What am I looking for? A y. Could I use this, though, if I were guessing? Watch what happens. What if I put in 1 year from now when x is 1? Enter. Oh, the levels would be negative 2.5. Does that help us? What do I want? I'm looking for a level of what? 8. Can I use my cursor keys? What's happening to the y value as I slide along the x-axis? What's happening to it? Is the y changing? Look at my screen, guys. Don't look at yours. Is the y changing? No. It isn't, is it? Because I'm only sliding along the x-axis. So this is no good. But could I use guess and check? When I entered a value for x, did I get a y value? Did I? When I entered 1, it was negative 2.5, yeah? So I need to go higher or lower than 1 to get up. When I entered 1, I went from the vertex up to here, didn't I? So what if I enter 2? Where's my y value going to be? Is it going to go up or down? Up. So what if I enter 2? Second, calc, value, 2. Oh, now I'm at negative 0.6. I'm moving up, aren't I? So what would be a good logical next guess? You're just going to go up by ones? Will that work? Why wouldn't it? 3. 1.9. Am I getting warm? So I could continue to guess and check, couldn't I? Let me show you something else that might help you. What y value am I shooting for here? I want my a to equal what? 8. So what if I put y equaled 8 and then graphed? What will happen? There's a line at y equals 8. I need the x value where? No, y equals 8 will not give me an x value. That's right up here. I need the second calc intersect. First curve is the y curve, yeah? So, okay. Am I on it right now? Do I want the intersection with the y-axis? No. Do I want the intersection with the x-axis? Do I want this intersection? Yes or no? No. Do I want... You guys can just hold down the button. I, of course, cannot. Which intersection do I want? I want the one up here, yes? Am I on the right curve now? Yep. Where's the second curve I care about? It's this line, yes? So I want that intersection. What happens when I push enter? Guess? 4.8. So how many years will pass until I get to 8? When my y value was 8, what was my x value? It's on the screen, guys. 4.8. So how many years will pass before I'm at a level of 8? 4.8. If this is when we started the experiment in 2018, what year will I be at 8, level of 8? Pardon me? 2022, almost 2023, right? Almost 5 years from right now. Are months counted in tenths? No, right? So it'll be 4.8 years from now. So 0.8 is 8 tenths. You would want to work it out in months. 8 tenths equals how many months? And then you would do that math. And it would be 96 divided by 10, 9.6 months. So in 4 years, 9 months, and then 0.6 of a month 6/10 of a month. A month's 30 days. 6 times 3 is 18. Right? Everybody good? The calculator's powerful. Is it everything? No. And please notice it's a totally separate skill, isn't it? Let's try another one. Let's see. Let's find a good question. Here's a good real life question. If you're in retail, store sells 90 jackets for $275 each. That's easy, right? The end of the snow season, I'm working in my store. I sold 90 jackets. I sold them at $275 each. Everybody cool? Everybody cool? At the end of the season, what should I do with my winter clothes? I run the store. What am I going to do? I'm going to do a clearance sale, yeah? So I start selling them off. I notice that if I decrease the price by, what's the question say? $15, I sell 5 more jackets. Does that make sense? Something's on sale, people buy it, right? Can I continue to lower the price?
No.
Why not? I can, but at some point it gets stupid, yes? When does it get stupid? When I'm losing money, yeah? I can't charge less than I paid or I'm an idiot. Yeah? Okay. So what will I do here? I know how much money I need to make off these jackets. Right? I want to make $19,600 in jackets. So I need to know what price I can charge for them. How would I do that? I need an equation, don't I? And every equation has how many variables? What are the two things I'm counting here? I'm counting jackets, I'm counting price, and I'm counting how much money I want to make, right? So, what should my letters be? Do I know how many jackets I'm going to sell? No. I know that when I sell 90, I get this much. For this much money, it works. But I'm trying to work out how much I got to sell to make that. Right? So what's the math? How do I decide how I make money? What math tells me? I got 90 jackets, $275 each. How do you tell me how much money I made this winter? I multiply them together, right? So I know that my revenue, how much money's coming into my store, equals what? My jackets times what? Well, $275, but we might be changing the price, right? So it's jackets times price, correct? Everybody agree? All right. So revenue isn't going to change. I'm going to make the same amount of money. Yeah? But I'm going to do something to the jackets. What did I do to the jackets? I sold 5 more, correct? So how would I write that as a math equation? Jackets, J plus 5. I will sell 5 more jackets if I do what to the price? Price minus what? Yeah? Is everybody cool with that? That looks a little weird though, doesn't it? Does that look like something that we, does that look quadratic-y? It doesn't? Tell me what, Damaris, tell me what about that looks quadratic-y. It looks like factored form, doesn't it? Doesn't it? But it's not factored form. What makes it different from being factored form? Why is that not factored form? There's two separate, it's not x and x, is it? Is it? No. So how can I fix this up? Because everybody's cool to hear, yes? That's okay, Anna. Everyone's cool to hear, right? That makes perfect sense until we're going to apply math. So how can I fix this up? What do I need to be the same? What has to be the same for this to look right? Talk to your neighbor. Figure it out. It's not that hard a question. Figure out what has to be the same. Talk to me when you have an answer. Why is that ugly? What needs to be the same?
It's just equal. Like j plus 1 times b minus 15 equals j plus b.
Does that look normal? Why? Because I'm going to end up with x squared plus 13x plus 42, yeah? That's a quadratic we can deal with. What's going to happen here if I expand that? I'm going to have JP. Does that make any sense? So I need this to be a J, don't I? Or I need this to be a P. Right? How am I going to do that? Marley's funny. How am I going to do that? This is the major problem, ladies and gentlemen. You all understand quadratics until you have to do something with them.
Just isolate one letter.
I isolate a letter? How?
Pass the b to the other side.
Move the P over here? Okay, so what's over here now? Because I can't move that P, can I? It's locked up with this 15. I'm going to move the whole equation around. Okay, so how would I do that? Okay, so I would divide out P minus 15. Where else? On the other side? Well, what does this need to say now? What am I shooting for in revenue? What did I want to make? All right, so now we're talking. P minus 15 equals J plus 5, right? Now what? What am I trying to isolate? Am I trying to isolate? Am I trying to find a price or a number of jackets that I'm selling? If I find a number of aren't I looking for an amount of money here? So should I be isolating jackets or price? I should be isolating price, shouldn't I? So did I move the wrong thing? But was the principle good? All right, so let's change it to make a little more sense. P minus 15 is going to equal J plus 5. Are we cool? Now what do we got to do with that 15? So 19,600 over J plus 5 plus 15 will equal what? P. That P is what? Is it an X or a Y? It's a Y. And what's this side? 19,600 over X plus 5 plus 15 equals Y. Now, I notice you guys are all writing stuff down. I said not to because we're discussing this, right? Does this get me a quadratic? Why not? Why not? There's no squared. So are we doing this right? It makes sense, doesn't it? But it doesn't make sense because we need a quadratic, don't we? Right? Because there's a multiply here. So even though this all makes sense algebraically, does it actually make sense what we're doing? Yes or no? No. At some point, I got to get a squared, right? I got to get x times x. So I got to get j and j working together to make that squared. But how can I do that? It's troubling, right? Where does the problem happen? Does this make sense? Number of jackets I sell times the price equals my revenue. Does that make sense? Okay. Does this make sense? Jackets, I sell 5 more jackets. My jackets will sell 5 more if I lower the price by 15. Does that make sense? That's what the question said, wasn't it? I went on sale. I dropped the price. I sold more jackets. Yeah? So where is my issue if both of those make sense? Everybody agrees that those make sense. How do I make that work for me? I got to find the question again so I have the exact numbers. There it is. Because that's where we're stuck right now, yes? As soon as we go to real life, we're in trouble. Let me ask you this. What was it about this question that made it easy to do? Because everybody could do that one. What is it about this one that made it easy? Pardon me, Burke? All the variables are the way they should be, right? It's in standard form. It's no problem. Yeah? This one isn't working very well, is it? Okay. I'm going to take this away because this seems to be blowing your minds a little. Did you see how magic I was? See how long that went on? I'm just going to delete it because that seems to be problematic. I have a couple of those on the test, so I guess I should move them. It is 10:47. You were here for 7 more minutes. I would suggest having a good, solid look at your review and decide where you're problematic. Actually, I would look at this page, our test reminders review. decide where you're bad, go back, and look at something that you're not so hot at. Okay? And return my calculators to me and get your phones.